Hi Homeworthy, I'm Nina. Welcome to my London Art Deco dual home. Come inside.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hi, my name's Nina Watson. I'm an interior designer and welcome to my home, my Art Deco dual in London. So what drew us to this home originally was the fact that when you walked in, it had lots of the original features still intact. We were looking in certain areas because of for the children, for the schools and things like that. But really when we walked into this property, it was the feel as you opened the front door. It had the high ceilings, it had the architraving, it had the original mosaic tile floor, which so many of them have been ripped out. Like you think they're going to be there, you open the door and it's not there. Someone at some point thought it was a good idea to remove it. But what we also loved about the property was the fact that it was quite a blank canvas as well. It was all white and beige. We could see that there was a lot that we could do to turn it into our property. So it wasn't like I didn't want to walk in somewhere and just move in and unpack. I wanted to find somewhere that we could do a lot to it to turn it into us. And I never thought when we were doing any of it that so many people were going to see it. When we were originally bought the house, I wasn't on social media. I wasn't on, the only people that were seeing our house would have been family and friends. So all of the decor that we've done in our house was just for us. It was purely for us, and I've been absolutely astonished at the feedback I've got from people all around the world from what we were doing, because we really just did it to please ourselves. This is our front hall, this is our entryway, and what I wanted to achieve in this space was a warm, vibrant hug as you walk through the front door. I designed the stained glass that goes into the front door because it wasn't there when we moved in, and I knew that it would have originally had stained glass, so I created a design that looked in keeping with the other glass that was here. The botanical wallpaper is all about drawing your eye and making you think about nature and making you think about the view beyond. So when you open the front door, we moved the doorway into the kitchen so that you'd get a view of the garden and a view of the greenery and a view of the seasons as you go through the year. It's really important that you see the season as you open your front door. The botanical wallpaper is all about continuing that sort of forest core aesthetic, if you like, that kind of biophilic design where you're thinking about nature and you're thinking about the colours and the shapes that you see in nature. All of the colours in this wallpaper feature in the colour palette of our home. So this wallpaper is like a connection, a visual connection to each of the rooms. This is the Owl and the Pussycat. This is actually one of my illustrations. I used to be an illustrator, and this was a piece that I created for the British Wildlife Trust on one of their centennial years. And it's also, The Owl and the Pussycat was a poem that my grandpa used to read to us. So it has sentimental value as well. But what I love is the connection between the owl and the pussycat and the way that they're looking at each other. And I love this piece here, and it's got all of the colours that feature in the wallpaper. We also have the gold cast iron radiator. These are all the way through our house. We've got these. I see them as real sculptural pieces. I don't think that radiators should be hiding necessarily behind walls so that you can't see them. To me, it's a real sculptural piece. The floor was a gift from the house. This is from 1910, the mosaic hall floor, although we did add to it. So when we moved the doorway going into the kitchen and we changed the way the floor was, we did have to get a master tiler in to make sure the pattern continued, so it didn't look like we changed where the doorway was. But all of this was original architraving and original, and love all of this. And so we just painted it all in an eggshell. So to not detract from the features, but to just so that you actually see the features, so there's not too much reflection. Added a beautiful 1930s beveled mirror which reflects the stained glass, which on a winter's morning when you come downstairs and you can see the stained glass reflected in the beveled mirror, that's the first thing I see when I come downstairs in the morning to make the coffee, and it brings me a lot of joy. So I love having that mirror there. This is a 1960s Scolari chandelier. I love Scolari, a lighting designer, Italian lighting designer, really sort of at the peak of his career in the 60s and 70s, and we have quite a few Scolari chandeliers. This is a smaller one. We've probably got about 5 or 6. They all look really different because he just did all different sorts of chandeliers, but they're all really good quality and really heavy. And my electrician, every time I call him and tell him I've got another light for him to hang, he's always like, oh, because he knows it's vintage. He knows it's going to have the old light, old wiring, and he knows he's going to have to rewire it for me. But he also knows it's going to look beautiful when it's up. So, and they always do. So the last thing that we put into the hallway when we'd finished everything else was the stair runner. It was really, really hard to find a stair runner that was going to do what I wanted it to do. I wanted it to be pink because there's a lot of cream, there's a lot of warm colours, there's also a lot of green, and I wanted to see the view beyond. And I was thinking of the pink working with the view beyond. So whenever you're adding anything into interior, I'm always thinking about how it's all going to look together. It's not ever going to be isolated on its own. It's got to work in a team. And when I found this one, I knew the search was over. I've got a very good local carpet fitter who fitted it for us and had to cut it in 1, 2, 3 places, cut it and then curve it in order to fit it around the curve, because obviously it was a vintage stair runner from the 1970s, I think, Turkish. I think it's an Anatolian runner. And then we use these brass stair rods from Stair Rods UK. Absolutely love, love, love them. You don't have to use stair rods when you install a stair runner, but they do give you that extra little bit of bling as you come into the front. And so when you walk in, you do see them and absolutely love them. But the pattern and the colours, all of the colours in this rug feature in this wallpaper. And I just think it finishes the space properly and now says everything I want it to say. But it's taken a little while to get to this point, but I now feel like the entryway says what I want it to say. It's cream, it's warm. When the sun hits it, it comes to kind of yellowy colours. When the sun comes in the afternoon, it's just absolutely extraordinary what happens to the colours in this space. And on a cold, grey, miserable, rainy day, you walk into the house and it feels warm because the colours are warm. So this is our first reception room. This is our living room. It's where we watch movies. It's where we watch films in an evening. It's got a very different vibe to the rest of the house. The space, the things that I love most in this room, the thing that began the room were the fireplace tiles. So these are Majolica fireplace tiles from 1910. They're not original to the house. We put this fireplace in, but we absolutely fell in love with these green, pink and yellow tiles. They're crickle crackle glaze, really the sort of nuanced colours in the tiles. They're really, really beautiful. That is what kick-started the scheme in the room. So those green tiles started the space, the green with the pink. So it's like, that's where we have to go with this space. Everything else in this space is serving these tiles. So I wanted to get a really dark wall and a very pale pink on the ceiling. The pink on the ceiling is the same as the pink in the kitchen. So we're kind of bringing all of the colours together so that there's a flow through the rooms. Although it's got a very different vibe to the kitchen, it's got the same pink rose tone colour. Then moving around the room, we've got the botanical sofa. I absolutely love, 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 love this botanical sofa. So when we sit here and we watch movies, I don't want to get up ever. So I just put the drinks down, we put the snacks down, and we just get comfy. And yeah, absolutely love, 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 love the botanical sofa. The person that oversees proceedings in the room is Frida Cactus. So Frida Cactus, we had a blank wall here for a long time. When you choose artwork, it's really important that you love what you choose. It's not for anyone else. And I know for a fact that not everyone would love this painting, but we adore her. The way that it's been painted is by a Brazilian artist called Rafael Silveira, and it's a surreal piece. Beautifully painted, really funny little things in it, funny little moments, the way the bird is on her arm and you've got the bird's got sort of the veins and the arteries you can see. She's holding an ice cream, but there's an RIP ice lolly on the floor. The yellow balloon, makes all of the colours balance in the piece. There's a pipe in the air. There's so much. But she oversees proceedings in the room. And of course, I have to say, she's so beautiful. She's so, so, so beautiful. She's got such an exquisite face. So sometimes when we're sitting here and we're watching a movie, I get a little bit distracted looking at Frida Cactus because I just think she's so beautiful. I have to say, the layered rugs. So the layered rugs, the combination of all of these colours together pulls the whole colour scheme together. So we've got 3 rugs going on the floor. The floor is the same colour as the walls and the shelves. They're all the same eggshell. And then we've got the 3 layered rugs together. And again, I get transfixed looking at the different colours together and how well they all work. And I'm picking out the same colours over and over again and layering the same colours on top of. Some of the patterns are broader than others. Some are, this is almost plain, but not quite. It's got a few little bits of flowers at the edges, but otherwise it's quite plain. But it just softens the vibe in here. Sorts out the acoustics so that when you're watching things, it's not too echoey. If it was just one rug, it would be a little bit too echoey. And otherwise, the other things I love are all the bits and pieces we've got on our shelves. So again, books that we love, photos of us, my nan's clock, and the plants and the plant pots. The green, look at the green and the plant pots. So, you know, there's not anything in this room that hasn't been thought about or considered or is just here for no reason. Everything is here to serve the statement pieces, which are the fireplace tiles, the botanical sofa, and Frida Cactus. Those are the 3 statement pieces in the room, and everything else in the room serves those pieces. The other thing that's important to mention in this room are the gold accents. So we have a gold mirror, we have gold ecclesiastical candlesticks, we have a most amazing gold Scolari chandelier, another Scolari chandelier, very different style to the other one. This is a cubist one. We also have brass switches, we have brass curtain tiebacks, and I've got a brass lamp, and all of the handles are brass. So our house was built in 1910. So it's 115 years old. And the architect who built the house, although we don't know who the architect is, we can see that they were inspired by Art Deco and Art Nouveau. So the stained glass in the second reception room is very much an Art Nouveau style. And some of the architraving is quite Art Nouveau in style, but some of the stained glass in the hallway is Art Deco. And so they were very much inspired by both, straddling those sort of 2 styles. So this is our kitchen. The statement piece in the kitchen are the fireplace, are the tiles around the stove. We bought these from a tile place in Berlin called Golem, and they were the only place we could find in Europe that made tiles using a traditional methods. And in fact, they do a lot of conservation work they've done work in kind of Copenhagen station, and they've done lots of work all around Germany. They do a lot of historical buildings. And what I wanted to get was I wanted to try and achieve from a new tile what we'd achieved in the fireplace, which the fireplaces were original tiles. But the thing with using vintage tile is it's not just about the tile, it's about how you tile. So it wasn't just the fact that we chose a floral tile. It wasn't just the fact that they were dark green tiles. It was these corner pieces, these edge pieces. This is how they used to tile. And what I wanted to achieve was something that looked like an original feature that wasn't put in afterwards. I wanted you to be able to walk in the kitchen and think, this was here when you moved in 1910. This would have been here, because this was actually the original fireplace in the kitchen. This was originally a tiled fireplace in the kitchen. When we moved in, it was just plain white tiles. What we did was extend this up a little bit higher, so about 4 bricks higher, replastered, kept the original mantle, but raised it up. So this is still the original 1910 mantle, and we just raised it up. And then I got a tiler who knew what he was doing to be able to put all of these all of these edge pieces and make it look like an original fireplace. And that's what I wanted to achieve. And that is really the sort of, when you walk into the kitchen, this is the statement piece of these tiles and the view. And everything else in the kitchen is really to serve the tiles and the view. So around the tiles, I've got a really pale pink wallpaper from Rebel Walls called Marmaris Coral. It's got this lovely sort of geometric sort of fish scale design in sort of graded pinks. The ceiling colour is a Benjamin Moore colour, Queen Anne pink, and it really continues the colour of the wallpaper. The cabinet colour is also a Benjamin Moore colour, Beacon Hill Damask, and the which we absolutely love. When the sun comes in first thing in the morning into this space, it just has this warm, it's like butter. It's like the colour of butter. And it's just a warm glow, and the wallpaper is a warm glow, and the tiles pop against the warm glow that's all around them, and all of these things are here to serve this. The handles, I couldn't find brass handles anywhere that I loved, and in the end I found these again in America, in a place in Kentucky. They're not still in business, unfortunately, but I bought loads of them because I thought no one else is selling these. It's lovely, like Art Deco quality to them. You can't buy anything like this in the UK. And we're a tiny little island, and we're on our own, and it's very hard to find things. But anyway, I got these shipped over, and they were worth it to me. We then had the cream tile that would work with the Beacon Hill Damask, with a green border tiles that go around the top. Again, the other thing with vintage tiling, if you want it to look like proper vintage tiling, is to think about the grout colours. So we use different grout colours for the different parts of the kitchen. So the cream tiles have got a cream grout. The green tiles, it was very difficult to find a dark green because it wasn't the right green. It was more like a bottle green. It didn't work. So we ended up going with a dark grey grout for the green, which just sunk back and you don't really notice it. But again, it's those little details with when you're trying to create something that looks vintage, is to think about how they did something. It's not just using the tile, it's not just using the two tiles together, it's how was it installed, how did they do it. And the grout colour is important. If we had done white grout, that would not have looked like a vintage design. It would have changed the way the design looked. There's nothing wrong with white grout, but it wasn't what I was trying to say. And so it's important when you're thinking about what you're trying to say is to make that consistent and coherent all the way through. So when we had our kitchen installed, everybody told us not to have a walnut worktop because the wood is too soft and not good for general day-to-day use, and that it would mark, and that it would bend and warp, and it was quite an expensive thing to install in the kitchen, and I didn't want to have the small planks. I wanted it to be one really big piece. So it's definitely somewhere where we sort of spent a bit more on this walnut worktop. Absolutely love, love, love this walnut worktop. I touch it every day. I love how it feels. I love the warmth of the walnut wood. You just have to treat it when you first get it. You need to put, it's like a hard wax oil on it to sort of seal the wood, and then you have to make sure that you once a year do the same thing so that you're looking after the wood that you've got. But it's amazing, and I don't really mind if a wood looks like it's being used in a kitchen, because I think that's how kitchens are supposed to be used. They're supposed to, you know, show a little bit of wear and tear. I don't think that really matters. I think what's important is anything that you choose in your space needs to make you feel happy, and not to listen too much to what everybody says around you, but to choose the things that you want to see, because it's your money and you're creating something in your own space. And I think it's really important that you choose the things that you want to touch and choose the things that will make you feel happy and calm, because that's what makes you enjoy the space the most. And I touch this worktop more than anybody else touches this worktop. And so I'm the kind of like, I just love it. I love how it feels. And there's quite a lot of walnut in our house. You know, there's the walnut dressing table upstairs. I've got the walnut clock that was my nan's. I've got some walnut handles on various things. We've got the walnut kitchen chairs. And it's just a really lovely warm wood. It's got a really interesting burr to it that's got lots of different sort of gradients of colour. And so, yeah, love it. The flooring, I wanted to feel like that kind of schoolhouse flooring. And so in order to do that, we had to make sure that the planks were the right sort of size. And so, yeah, it took a long time choosing that as well. And then lighting is always really, really important. I didn't want just simple down lights in this room because it wouldn't be vintage. These are flush wall lights that we've used here to make it feel more unified, rather than having each of the lights central to each separate section. We've made them central to each other so that they go in an absolute straight line. So this isn't central to this part of the room. That isn't central to that part of the room. But the line with your eye, as you walk through this door, as you walk through the front door and you look, these lights form a straight line. And in that way, when you're in an older property, sometimes when the walls are in funny places or the rooms are a little bit disjointed, you can trick the eye by lining things up that aren't quite central, and in that way the space feels more unified and feels more ordered and doesn't look as sort of topsy-turvy as it might actually be in real life. And then as you walk through into the seating area, there's a step down into the seating area because we live in the sort of area that's like that. The seating area, we love sitting here, looking out onto the garden. Got big crystal doors. Originally when we moved in, it was a tiny little door, but we knocked through and made a big crystal door just to sort of maximize the view here. This is an American cabinet from 1850 that we got from a vintage seller in North London. Again, it was one of those things, we weren't looking for a cabinet. We went in because we were looking for dining chairs, and then we saw this cabinet and we were like, oh, love it. Love the feet on this cabinet. It's got really like chunky feet. And it's really beautifully made. We were originally going to change this chicken wire and put glass in, but we changed our minds. Really love the chicken wire, and we knew we were going to use it as a sort of a larder cupboard, and so it kind of worked for that, so we sort of kept it. And then I have to talk about this chandelier as well. This is a 1960s Doran Murano glass chandelier. Again, this looks amazing when it's dimmed, and when we sit here of an evening, when we have our dinner here, when that's dimmed right down, it's magical. It's like the sun. Just looks amazing. So absolutely love this chandelier. And this chandelier's been in lots of different spaces as well. We had this in our hallway when we moved in. We had it in our living room for a little while. Just love it. And now it's found its home. Now it's found its home here. When we originally got the kitchen done, we decided to do the crystal and have them sprayed a dark green to go with the tiles. We felt that it would work really well with the view, and that the dark green would work really well with the sort of view beyond. This is often what happens when you're actually using a space, when you're in a space. Sometimes you might find that the things that you decided originally don't work for whatever reason. And what I found with this colour when you're sitting here is that it kind of breaks up the view. It's very dark, and it's kind of the crisscross is quite distracting, and you don't look at the view. And I realised that what we should have done, or what we can do now, is paint it the same colour as the ceiling and the timber work in here. So it's, rather than it going with the tiles or matching the view, matching it with the walls will make you look beyond to the view beyond. So what we've been doing is a very, very, very pale pink, the same as here. And when those doors are shut and you can look through, you'll see the difference between what it looks like with the dark crisscross and what it looks like with a pale pink crisscross. And that's the next job. So we're going to be sanding this down and painting it. And that's what we're going to be doing to sort of change this area. And then this area will be done. This is our powder room, or our downstairs loo. The reason I love this room, it's the smallest room in the house, but there's not a part of it that isn't working really hard to make the space work. When we moved in, this wasn't here. It was just the cupboard under the stairs. So there was a door here. This was a cupboard under the stairs. It just had like a rail and a broom in it. And actually the doorway into the kitchen was here. This was a wall. So this was one of the things that we changed when we moved in, was the configuration of the downstairs so that you had a view going all the way through. And that meant we had a small space here with which to make a powder room. We were lucky that it had stained glass, so that it already had a feature. We were originally going to put the sink underneath the stained glass because we thought, oh, wouldn't that be cute? Because every time you washed your hands, you'd be looking through the stained glass. But it was too low. It was going to look too low and feel too weird being that low down. So we put the sink there instead. I found the most amazing wallpaper with Divine Savages called Fornication. A kind of play on words with fornication, but it's fauna, Fauna. And it's got leopards in the jungle, adult leopards, baby leopards, growling at each other. It's all in black and white. It's beautifully, beautifully illustrated. I mean, the detail is quite extraordinary. It's like a little adventure when you look at this wallpaper. There was some original wallpaper, but we added the sort of the dado rail going all the way around. And we added a bit more sort of wallpaper underneath to make it look like it was kind of originally there. The floor, some of this was original, but some of it we had to add to. So some of it, because we'd moved the doorway, we had to get a tiler to continue the pattern going into the corner so that it looked like it was always there. And you can't actually tell the difference between the original floor and the bit of the flooring that we've put in. The tile behind the sink, the splashback tile or the backsplash tile behind the sink, was also from Golem, the tile place in Berlin. Beautiful dusky pink, Art Nouveau design. I mean, it's originally an Art Nouveau design. Just loved it, thought it picked out the pink from the stained glass beautifully. And then the Benjamin Moore paint colour we used again, love Benjamin Moore, paint colour we used again, it's called Annapolis Green, which is like a kind of, although it's called Annapolis Green, it's a tealy colour, very, very pale teal colour that brings, that sort of echoes the teal from the stained glass. And then we finished the space off with a statement pendant light from Soho Lighting called Schoolhouse Deco. It's just amazing. When it arrived, I actually did think maybe it was a little bit too big, but I always think if you go a little bit bigger than you think, you always make more of a statement. What we had to make sure was that it was high enough that you wouldn't actually bump into it when you walk into the room. But I love, love, love the statement that it makes. It's like opaline glass. It's a really lovely statement, and it finishes off the space and it gives it a kind of grandeur. So although it's only a really small room, there's a lot going on. Obviously it functions, but there's a lot going on in this little space. And there's also a couple of pieces of artwork. One piece was our daughter made, which is of a tiger, which I absolutely love. My husband loves tigers. And we do have quite a lot of cats in our artwork around the house. And this was something she did when she was about 6 years old. Absolutely love it. So we've got it in a vintage frame, and that's in the toilet. And then there's another piece of artwork in there by an artist called Alice, and we just love it. He's another tiger, and he looks just like Snoop, our Bengal cat, one of our Bengal cats. So he's just got the same expression. So we love him as well. So as I say, it's the smallest room in the house, but I just love this little room. I love everything about this little room. I have an unusual path into interior design. I started as an illustrator. So when I went to college, I studied graphic design and illustration. I was originally an illustrator, but I was always into interiors. And I always was focused on how my room looked. When I was really young, I was really into how my room looked, decorating it. I remember when my parents said I could choose a wallpaper when I was about 8 years old. I spent ages deciding on these pink clouds, thinking that my room was going to look like this amazing pink sunrise. And you know, I had the image in my mind of the sky, and that the whole space was going to feel like the sky. And I've always been really interested in interiors, and I would say a little bit obsessed with them. And actually, illustration and interior design are quite similar in many ways. There's a client, and you're creating something for a client, you're creating something for a brief, you're thinking about color and shape and texture and the combinations of things, and you're thinking about how something is going to be used. So with illustration, you're thinking about how something's going to be used. Like, is it going to be really small? Like, what do the details need to be like? But in interior design, you're thinking about function, and that the space is going to be a usable space. So for me, it's like a three-dimensional illustration in a way. And the mood boards that I do are very much like the kind of illustration that I used to do. So I love the fact that I've brought illustration into my interior designs now. The way it developed was a friend came over to our house and had seen what we had done in our house and wanted me to do something for her. And so that was my first commission. That was my first client, and she was amazing, and I absolutely loved it. What's been amazing with Instagram has been that I've been able to reach clients all over the world who wouldn't have otherwise seen my work, and they've seen into our home, and they love what we've done in our home. And so I'm now reaching clients who would never have come across me because they don't live locally, and so that has been amazing to have been able to connect with clients outside of London, and create meaningful, colourful, vintage, eclectic interiors for people everywhere. So this is our second reception room, our drinking thinking room. We love being in here on a Friday evening, having some drinks, listening to music. My husband collects vinyl, so we have so much to choose from. But it's also the space that I come to during the day when I'm on my own, when I need to think creatively. This is definitely my most creative room in the house in order for me to think. And that is to do with the colours and the textures in this space, and the vibe that I get when I look through the window, when I look through the stained glass and I can see the greenery outside. It's definitely the space that calms me the most, I would say, in the house, which is why it's my best thinking room. So I'll start with the wallpaper, which is a pink, a very blush pink Art Deco design wallpaper. We loved the geo print of this wallpaper. We actually got I got my wallpaper to lay it the other way around, so it should have been that way up, where the diamonds would have been more like horizontal diamonds, but I preferred the way that the pattern looked that way. So actually the lines of the wallpaper go horizontally around the room, but he did such an amazing job that you wouldn't notice that. But it's, whenever I see this wallpaper online, the only way I ever see it is the other way around, with it that way around. And then what we did was we continued that really pale pink in the wallpaper up over the ceiling to make it feel sort of really warm and like a hug on a really cold day. Behind us, this painting, oh my goodness. So we weren't looking for a painting like this when we saw this painting, and it was one of those moments where I was just stopped in my tracks by something. Didn't know I wanted a floral painting, and my husband fell in love with it as well, which was amazing. So we both were just stopped in our tracks, jaws on the floor. And it was like, okay. And we couldn't believe it was actually affordable. It's not painted by anybody particularly famous. It's from the early 20th century. And it's just amazing. The quality of the paintwork, the quality, the detailing in the shadows, it's just absolutely exquisite. Wasn't sure if it was too big when we got it home, when we put it on the wall. We were like, my God, it's actually huge, but just love it. I just love the power of that painting on the wall. One of the things that we absolutely love in this room is the three-piece suite. So this is a 1950s three-piece suite, the sofa and the two chairs. This is one of my best bargains I ever had in my life. This was on eBay. They were listed as green, but they're not. They're kind of a golden color, but they were listed as green. And I was the only person that bid on them. So I got them for £19.99, which is the equivalent of about $25. And it cost about £50 to get a man with a van to come and bring them to us. And when we got them home, we could not believe it. And they are so comfortable. They are so comfortable. And the fabric is just amazing. Absolutely amazing. And the little legs. I just love the legs. I love everything about it. I love sitting here. We love sitting there. Really comfortable. Because we didn't pay much for them, we haven't been that precious with them, which has been really nice as well. It enables you to be really comfortable because you know that it didn't cost an absolute fortune. The cats love the arms of the chairs, and they've really done a number on them on a couple of the chairs. But we love them. They're comfortable, they're cozy, they bring us a lot of joy. I also want to talk about the serving hatch. The serving hatch. When we moved into this property, we were originally going to knock this wall through and make a really big kitchen diner. And because it's split level, it was going to be quite interesting to have a split level kitchen diner. But we would have lost this original 1910 serving hatch that opens out into the kitchen. Look what it does. So cute. It was painted shut. It was white. It didn't even have a handle, but we kind of did everything. We put brassware on there. We fixed the fixing there as well. We sanded it all the way back, and now it's this beautiful tealy colour. The paint colours I've used in this room are all Benjamin Moore colours. So the paint colour is it's a tealy grey, so it pulls up the teal that you've got in the rugs and in the tiles. But it's a teal grey colour called Quarry Rock. We've got the stained glass that was original to the house, which absolutely adore. And this spot here is my favourite spot in the house to just sit and concentrate and think, and also have a drink in the evening. This was painted for us by one of our cats. A couple of years ago passed away, Tricky, and that's Snoop, and that was his sister Tricky who passed away. And somebody gifted this to me actually, and I absolutely love it. I can't believe it that somebody painted the two of them together. So I love that painting. Again, it's just not a professional artist who did it, but all of their heart and soul is in that piece, and they've captured what Snoop looks like and what Tricky looked like. And really lovely to just see this whole area put into a painting. I just love the fact that somebody did a painting of that corner of our room. So that was really lovely of them. So yeah, adore that painting. The curtains are a teal damask, continuing the teal paintwork, kind of pulling the teal paintwork into the room. So there's kind of like a soft furnishing edge before you get to the paintwork. They're really lovely heavy damask. These we got shipped over from France. They bring all of the colours together. Most people wouldn't care about all of those different colours together, but I couldn't believe it when they arrived. Look at all those lovely colours together. So yeah, this was my Nan's wardrobe and then my Auntie Pauline's drinks cabinet, and I absolutely love it. So I remember this wardrobe when I was growing up. So when we used to stay at my Nan's house, this used to be the wardrobe in the bedroom that you would stay in when we were kids. And then when I was older, my Auntie Pauline had turned it into a drinks cabinet. Then when she died, I inherited it with all of the crystalware as well. I couldn't believe it. And so we got it French polished, and we got glass shelves put in, and we got it lit inside. And so now this is where we get our cocktails from in the evening. Just so exciting. It's a very exciting little corner, this. And because all of this belonged to my Auntie Pauline, it's all family heirloom stuff. It's just really, just makes drinks really special in here. So yeah, love it. Love, 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 love. The fireplace. The fireplace, we got this installed when we moved in, it was an electric fire. It was terrible. It was a monstrosity. It was the nicest way of putting what was there. And it was one of the first jobs we did when we moved in, was put this fireplace in. We fell in love with these tiles. These are Majolica fireplace tiles. The colours in these tiles are what started the colour scheme for the room. So it's all dusky pinks, greens, teals. And then there's a kind of like a soft beige colour in there as well. Really beautiful tiles. They weren't cheap, but we just fell in love with them, and I still love them just as much now as I did then. And so, yeah, that's what started the scheme, with these particular tiles. And people often look at this fireplace and they think that this fireplace was here when we moved in and it was all part of the room, and which is what you want people to think. You want people to walk in and think that this is correct for the house, but actually we put this in ourselves. The same with this this cabinet. We put this cabinet in. We originally, it was just an alcove, so we got this cabinet made, and beautiful vintage handles. These are from 1950, that from a seller in Pennsylvania. Got them shipped over to us. We've got 4 of them, so we have some more of them. And then we've got some of our vintage china at the top, my husband's vinyl collection there, and we listen to this vinyl Friday nights, Saturday nights, Sunday nights. That's vinyl nights. And then this is all of my husband's amazing vintage Garrod record player, beautiful amp, beautiful speakers. And then this piece, which is by Jamie Hewlett, the Gorillas. This was a gift from to my husband from one of his family members. Absolutely love it. Love, love, love it. So yeah, there's not a piece of art in the house that we don't love. And we think this looks quite good. This used to be in our hallway, and then it was in our kitchen, and now it's found its new home here. So a lot of the times with our artwork, we tend to move it around a little bit. And there's one more piece of artwork I want to talk about, which is that. This is by Jim Moyer, and it's called Blackbird Amongst the Fauna. Look at him. Look at his little face, got 2 birds, and then the 3 birds. I love 3 birds flying up a wall. I don't know if that's a British thing or not, I don't know, but I find it's quite a kitsch sort of vibe to it. And this only came as a set of 2, so we put the bird painting in the middle. So now we've got 3 birds. What is the favourite part of my home? That is actually one of the most difficult questions to answer. And the reason for that is because for me, it's about the combination of everything working together. A room doesn't work with one thing in it for me. It's how everything combines together, how the colours, what I am fascinated with is how colours blend and how they flow and how they affect each other, and how you can have one thing that's like a statement piece, and then you can bring other things together to serve the statement piece and draw your eye to that. So one favourite thing in our home is impossible. I love the stained glass, I love the fireplaces, I love the things that we've brought into it. I enjoy the home, I enjoy what the home does for us. I love the views out of the window. I love it when I find a paint colour that was really, really hard to find and does exactly what I want it to do. But to say to somebody, oh, it would be the ceiling colour in one room, that would be a bizarre thing to say. So for me, it's really about the combination of how a room works together. But also, if the room doesn't function properly as you need it to function, it doesn't matter how beautiful it is, it has to function properly. The seats have to be comfortable. The bath has to be able to be filled deep enough for you, and you can be able to stretch out in it. The taps need to function properly. They need to feel nice in your hand. The handles need to feel nice in your hand. The surfaces need to bring you joy. And so the cushions need to be lovely, and you need to like how they feel, and different people have different versions of what that might be. the chandeliers need to dim, and they need to dim all the way down to nothing, because there will be those moments where you want to dim the chandeliers down to almost nothing. And the glow is the joy you get from the glow of a chandelier that's dimmed to almost nothing. There's nothing like it. And so to say, what's your favorite thing? It's impossible. Impossible. Probably our cats. So this is our master bedroom, and this is our new little one. She's called Missy, our new little Bengal kitten. So she's living her best life. So this is our master bedroom, and the reason, although this wasn't the largest bedroom in the house, what we loved about this room was the fact that it had the original fireplace. And in fact, the fireplaces downstairs we installed. The fireplace in the kitchen we did a lot too. But this is the original fireplace with the original tiles, and these tiles were hidden under the carpet when we moved in. So we didn't even know we had these tiles. The carpet went right up to the corner, beigey, greygey carpet. It was filthy as well. So when we pulled it up, we could not believe that we had these tiles underneath, and they're a really unusual colour and really similar to the cabinet colour in the kitchen, Beacon Hill Damask. But I mean, that was just chance. So yeah, love this fireplace. Love this artwork as well. So this painting, again, we bought it from the same place we bought the other oil painting from. Again, wasn't going to buy another floral oil painting, but absolutely love it. And so yes, this is also lived in many parts of the house. It was in the hallway, it was in the dining room, it was in the kitchen for a short time as well, and now it's found its home here. And I think I love how it brings all of the colours here. One of the main feature about getting this room right, again, was the paint colour. This paint colour, oh my God, it took such a long time to find. It's a Benjamin Moore colour, and it's called North Shore Green. When I was in one of our other properties, I tried to find this green. I could see it in my mind. I was looking for a green cloud. I was like, I could see it in my mind. It's a green cloud. That's the colour I'm looking for. In our last place, I painted the kitchen, or we had the kitchen painted 5 times with different greens, trying to get this colour, and I couldn't find this colour. And when I eventually found it, it didn't really look like anything. On the swatch, it just looked like a bit of pale nothing. But in the room, it's amazing. The sun comes in first thing in the morning, lights up this green, and it's just amazing. It brings me a lot of joy, this colour. So this room works. It's been colour drenched in this colour. The room works because this paint colour works. If this paint colour didn't work, this whole room wouldn't work. But for me, it makes it calm. It makes it feel like a haven. It makes it feel like a sanctuary, because this green is the green cloud that I was looking for. And I love it. We had these cabinets built in, and colour matched, colour drenched in the same colour. This is a Casilio wallpaper. It's a French company, and it's called Gatsby, this wallpaper. Love it, actually. This was one of the first, I think this was the first room we wallpapered in the house. And so it was a few years ago now. I probably wallpapered it in 2019 maybe. Love it, absolutely love it still. These are vintage handles, vintage brassware, yes, they were from eBay. Had to buy loads of them, so love those handles. But you can't talk about a bedroom without talking about a bed. And this bed. So we found this bed. This is a Maple & Co. Edwardian bed from 1910. So Maple & Co. were a British company who made the best furniture around that time. So everything around that time that was made by Maple & Co. was built to last forever. Very difficult to find a king-size brass bed. Very easy to find double brass beds, but very difficult to find king-size brass beds, which is what this is. And it is absolutely solid. When it arrived, it just came in 4 pieces. No screws, no nuts, no bolts, just 4 pieces. And they literally slot together like a jigsaw. We couldn't believe it. I was like, have they forgotten to give us the screws? They've forgotten to give us the nuts and bolts. They're like, no, it literally just slots together. We couldn't believe it. We thought it might be quite rickety. No, it's absolutely solid. Absolutely solid, this bed. Weighs a ton. Just a joy, very comfortable mattress. And so it's an absolute joy to have. And this bed set the tone for the whole room. So we got the bed first, and then we had to create a room that enabled this bed to look like it belonged in this room. And so the whole room was because of this. This we loved, and so the whole room was because of that. The lighting in here, another Scolari chandelier, different style to the others. Really lovely when it's dimmed, lovely because it's got some glass and some brass. It's really lovely with the refracted light when it goes on the ceiling at night. The side lamps, these were vintage. The lamp bases were vintage. They were very reasonable. They were huge, really heavy, £50 for the pair on eBay. And then, but the lampshades are a high-end Mind the Gap lampshades, really beautiful, gold inside, so that when you light them, there's directional light from them rather than them lighting up the whole room. So they work really well as bedside lamps. The Art Deco walnut dressing table, we absolutely fell in love with. It was in an antique store in Colchester in England, and just love the shapes. Absolutely love the shapes. I love the handles. I love the walnut burr. It's beautiful. It's really lovely to sit at. The stool, a tapestry stool, also walnut. We bought that separately. But it's just, yeah, it's a real joy to sit here and look out at the garden. And behind the garden, we've got the canal, and then we've got a field. So all through the year, it's really lovely to sit here, get ready in the morning and look out the window. It's a really nice start to the day. Home, first of all, is a place filled with love. And for me, when you walk home, when you walk through the front door, it's like a sanctuary. It's like your haven. It's your safe place where you say goodbye to the day, where you rest after you've been busy. And it needs to make you feel happy and calm, and that can take many forms for different people. But I would say for everybody, they would like to feel happy and calm when they walk through their front door. And as an interior designer, what you're trying to do is find out what that person loves in order to make them feel like that. What colours do they love? What textures do they love? Do they like it to be quite plain? Do they like it to be quite patterned? Do they want to see lots of different things going on at once? Do they need it to just function and maybe just have a couple of pieces of artwork? But all of the time you're thinking about what makes them feel happy and calm. For me, I need to see nature. I need to see leaves. I need to see flowers. I need to see life. We have a family, and so the home has to function for us as a family with the children and with our animals. I'm not precious about our things in our home. I wear my shoes in my home. It's not just wearing shoes for today. I wear, people can wear their shoes when they come in. It's not a problem. We don't have any coasters in our home. You can just put things down. That's not a problem. We have cats that are quite wild, and so you can't be too precious about chair arms because they'll have a go. And so, but all of those things I think make a home feel comfortable is if people can feel relaxed when they're in the door. And I don't feel that if we were to be like, don't do that, that people will be relaxed when they walk in the door, and it's a place of relaxation. Homeworthy, it's been lovely showing you around our Art Deco dual home, but now it's time for you to go. Bye.